Yay! I'm excited. I've just got home from David's Emporium. Some very wonderful people gave me a voucher as a thank you gift for David's Emporium, which is my favourite shop in the whole world. And, well, I went today because I need buckles for sandals. I've just realised I bought more than I need, but that's okay, I'm sure I'll find a use for them. Anyway, I wanted to show you what I got because it's very exciting. Well, I think it's very exciting. It's very exciting for me. And I will explain why I got what I got. So, did not go but intending to buy fabric, but I saw this. This is bonded waterproof fleece. Long Doggo and I both need new raincoats. We both have bonded fleece raincoats and both of them are no longer waterproof and consequently not really raincoats. So I saw this and I thought, ooh, because it's quite hard to find bonded fleece, waterproof bonded fleece in Hamilton, and I just thought this was a bit different. It's neutral colours, so it will go with stuff. It won't clash. The one I have at the moment is teal, which I love. It's beautiful, but it just looks awful with some of the other blues I like to wear. So this won't clash colour-wise, pattern-wise perhaps, but I just thought it's a lot prettier than most raincoats. And now we can have matching raincoats as well as matching pyjamas. And then I can really embarrass my kids by going out with her in public like that. Actually, they probably won't care that much, but... Okay, what else I bought? I bought some ruler thingies. I bought some things that I normally would not consider to be worth, you know, breaking the budget on. For example, this. I have my lovely normal quilting ruler, which is in centimetres. This one is in inches. Sometimes that's useful. I prefer mostly to work in centimetres, but you know, sometimes you just measure something on a tape measure in inches and then you have to translate it and stuff. This one's smaller, but sometimes smaller is useful. It's what, 4.5 inches, so that's looks like 11.5 centimetres. I feel like that's going to be important for some reason. And it's also shorter. It's only 35.6 perhaps centimetres. So that part's a bit weird. It doesn't translate as neatly as, say, a 6 by 40? No, not 40. I don't know, whatever's basically the equivalent of this in inches. But sometimes it's really useful to have a couple, especially when I'm doing my sewing classes, and we do have another one we can use at the pace we do it, but yeah, they're quite handy for various things. And this one also has little slits in it, and I've seen fancy ones that have slits so you can cut with your rotary cutter inside the slit. We'll see if that's useful or not. It's also got little 45, 60, 30 lines on it. This sometimes can be really cumbersome when I'm doing, say, cutting binding, bias binding, especially when I need to cut just the edges. So, you know, like the ends to make them the right angle before I sew them together. So this will be less cumbersome for that. To the same end, I also got 2 new long bendy rulers. What are they? 60 centimetres long. I only really needed one to replace this one, which I find extremely useful. It's just, I don't know, a useful width. What is it? 5 centimetres, 6 centimetres, probably. But I can't really tell because it's totally faded and I can no longer actually see. Can you even see that there are lines and numbers on there? Not really. Let's open this guy up. Because maybe you can't see because it's filmed on the camera. No, you can see that there are some on that one. So I got 2 different ones just because they were two different slightly designs. I cannot England. This one's got like half centimetre squares with little things in the middle for the half centimetre, and then half of it's actually in inches. Again, could be potentially useful. I really work in inches, but sometimes it just works, especially if I'm looking at something American or listening to something American where people are like, hey, do a 4-inch square. And I know 4 inches is 10 centimetres, but other things are, don't translate automatically in my brain. So, yeah. 2 options with inches that I didn't have any before other than tape measures, which, have limited use. And then this one is the same as that squarey bit. So 1 centimetre squares with a little cross in the middle, which I think is quite interesting. I feel like that might make it easier to line things up sometimes, because sometimes you can go from like the end of a line to another end of a line, and it's easier to see whether that's lined up than going through it. Not sure if that makes sense, but it's also got some random numbers, which are labelled in Mandarin, I presume, and I don't know what they mean. I might see if I can figure out what those little charts mean at some point, because I feel like they might be useful. It's got a little protractor. They've both got one, I think. Yep. And nice 45-degree lines, including down this end. I imagine there is some reason that is around a circle, like the circles for hanging it on stuff, but obviously they can be more than one use. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So this also would make it easier to cut the ends of bias binding, because it's much narrower. I almost bought, like, those squarey, well, we've got a right angle. They're basically my triangle words are leaving me. It's not isosceles and it's not equilateral, it's the other one. Scalene. A scalene triangle that you get for maths when you're doing it at school. But those aren't actually 45-degree angles, are they? Though to be honest, I do have one that is, I think. Anyway, yeah, I think those will be useful. Okay, what else did I get? I got 2 invisible zips. I got one that's woven and one that's not. This is the kind that I used in the dress I've just made, and I'm not really sure what the difference is, because I've kind of avoided all zips, but especially invisible zips, for quite a while. So I don't know what difference there'll be, but I thought I might make another dress or two that has an invisible zip in it, owing to my spectacular success with the last one. So it's useful to have some on hand, so I don't have to go and buy one and interrupt what I'm doing when I realise I need a zip, because I don't have any other long invisible zips. I got some, I call them flat marbles. I know they're not really, what do they say? Luster gems. 300 grams of luster gems. They're those, I think they go in fish tanks and other things, but I use them when I make fidgets. So like a kind of a fabric maze sort of situation, and you have that inside and you can push it around, and it's nice to play with to keep yourself occupied when you're having trouble listening or whatever. I got 2 big things of thread. They didn't have the really big one of the black, but that's okay because I use white a lot more, mostly because they're quite expensive. This one was $27.50, but it is 1,000 meters. So it's a kilometre of thread, which is great. It will last a long time, but I'm disinclined to usually lay out that much on one bit of thread or one spool of thread. So I figured it's a good use of a voucher. Well, part of it. I got 3 different ribbons. I just felt like I needed ribbon for drawstring bags and things like that. Different colours. I have a few drawstring bags that I want to make. Well, maybe just one, I don't know. I can't remember what I wanted to keep in it, but there's something. Yeah. those colours were the colours I chose for some reason. Well, the blues are obvious because, hello, one of my favourite colours. And since other people might be using them too, I thought I'd get a sort of more neutral, manly blue. And I don't know, a lot of girls seem to really like that colour, younger ones. And then this. Okay guys, I am excited about this because I really hate turning like tubes. Depending on the tube and how clever I am, I can use a little trick where I sew in a little bit of yarn at the end, and then you just keep that to the side and sew down and make sure you don't sew over it. Then you can pull it and it turns it inside out for you, and then you just have to get rid of the yarn at the end. But that doesn't work for all widths of strap or tube or whatever you're making. And I've seen people have cunning devices. I have not in person come across one before today. This was the only one there. It says, cut bias strip to desired width plus half an inch, 1.3 seam for seam allowance. Stitch it using fold as guide. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I would never have thought to do that. But that would get it more even. Trim seam allowance or leave it untrimmed for a fuller, more rounded tubing. Cut one in an angle. Snip into fold close to angled end and insert loop turner into cut. Right, so you make a little hole at the end. So the end, it looks like one of those funny knitting needle, some things that I don't know what to do with, but yeah, like I've seen something like that as purportedly for knitting. My mum might know. And then you pull through. So you can use it for Chinese ball buttons, button loops. That could be handy. Frog closures. Do you know what that is? I don't. String belts. And shoulder straps, like spaghetti straps. So, I foresee some experimentation happening with this guy, which will be very fun. Oh, I've almost forgotten the thing that I made the effort to go today for. Buckles. I thought I was really clever and got the bit where you could also like loop it underneath. Ah, I know what I did wrong with these ones. They are that kind. Look what I did though. I've put it through there, but it should really go around here with this bit sticking out, and then you have the bit that goes through, can tuck in there. So if I did this one, where's the hole? But just pretend it's gone through, and then it will go through there, and then it would stay in place and not flap about everywhere, and that would be handy. So let's see when I redo these sandals, which is the video I'm supposed to be filming, but I'm maybe procrastinating slightly. I'm not procrastinating, I don't have time to do too much because I need to go and cook dinner after my longer than I expected shopping trip. Yes, okay, feeling clever. So I was like, I'll have 6. No, I'll have 10. And then he was like, I'll just let you think about that a bit longer. And then I was like, actually 12. But because I want like 2 pairs per sandal for 4 sets. 3 pairs. Never mind. So that's my little haul from today. And I'm feeling really pleased and excited about. I don't know if I'll keep this or not. It's not completely useless. It's just almost impossible to see the numbers where you need them. See you another time.